Okay, crypto is in a really interesting spot right now. And the co-founder of Cardano just had some very hard words that I think you guys will find extremely interesting. But we've also got some very interesting news that you guys have got to know about because it's pretty wild. The ex-Binance CEO has apparently been deemed a flight risk and is not allowed to leave the US. Now, whilst that was ongoing though, some people were getting pretty excited about XRP, as you can see from the article. XRP threatens to flip Binance's crypto, BNB, 1 cent for all, as obviously the FUD right now is pretty high. But I'd say before we cover that and way more cool crypto news, two things. One, make sure you go ahead and press that like button. It took me a long time to get this background. How we liking the colors, you know? Let me know down below which colors we should go for. I've been trying a couple of different things, but I think either blue or purple. But before we dive into all the crazy stuff that's happening, I want you guys to realize that the situation we're in right now is very unique. I think none of us are unsure anymore as to whether or not the bull market will continue. I'd personally say everybody who's denying the bull market right now is a little bit delusional, but hey, sometimes it's not that bad, you know? But in this case here, I'd say if you're not on the boat of this is the calm before the storm, even though I'm not a financial advisor, I would highly suggest you to reconsider. Again, I know a lot of you guys do not want advice. All you want is the news, and I'd say the news that's going around right now is that there's a massive amount of fear installed upon the people, but prices are not budging. And generally speaking, the masses are loading up, but the reason we're not going crazy with those plus 40, 50% days is because the retail is not in. But guys, I'd say the institutions right now are stacking up massively because for the most part, they know that all this fear that's being installed into us and all these articles that are being produced right now are just way out of proportion. But I have proof. Take a look at this. The SEC seeks to prove that Binance and CZ committed an FTX-style fraud, the Wall Street Journal reports. And to that, we've got a video that's going to take a couple of minutes, but I highly suggest you guys to watch it all the way through. And again, if you've not done it yet, make sure you take a look at that like button and maybe press it and let me know what color the background should be, because I think we've got a couple of good options. And it took me a long time to find good lamps, man. Anyway, what Charles is about to say might put some perspective into the crazy tactics of the SEC and why everything they do is just so stupid. Please, guys, take a look at this.
Then they come in and say it's a security. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean if it's decentralized? How does Bitcoin register? Oh, but it's not. Then explain to me the fucking difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and the rest of the gang. Explain it to me. Like I'm 5 years old. Run the goddamn Howey test on it and show me the difference between the two. Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there. There's so many different planks and angles that you can take a look at this thing from. And by the way, if you subpoena and attack about 3 different entities, you could perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin because that's the way the hash power works. But it's decentralized, apparently. And Team Orange gets a complete pass. It's a pathetic fucking joke. It's an absolutely pathetic joke. You know, and it would be funny if not for the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars of legal fees have been exhausted in this Pyrrhic war that's being fought on the industry. And they'll lose court case after court case, as they already have, and will continue. And then at some point, it'll stop. There will not be an apology. There's not going to be any money that comes back, and we'll just move on. Like we did with the Kennedy assassination. We'll just move on. Like we did with Vietnam. We'll just move on. Like we did with Iraq and Afghanistan. We'll just move on like we're doing right now with COVID. We'll just move on like we did with all the things that have happened in the last 50, 60, 70 years in the United States history. It has to stop. It honestly has to stop. Why do I praise libertarians come in? Because the only people that seem to think the only people seem to improve the situation, the people that are unraveling the government. It's not accountable anymore. People harm people, they get away with it, and they just move on, and nothing changes. I'm tired of it. I think our industry is tired of it. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is not because somebody woke up and said, man, tokens on the internet is such a good idea. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is that we're trying collectively to reestablish the social contract, because the social contract is horrifically broken. If the people in charge are unelected, unaccountable, and don't ever have to prove to us, the beneficiaries of the public trust, that they're doing good for us. And when they screw up, nothing happens to them. They get a promotion, they get elected to higher office, and we just have to move on as a society. That is not a government for the people, by the people, of the people. That is something else. That looks a lot more like the thing that we rebelled against when we founded this goddamn country.
First off, he is completely right in most things that he just said, so I really appreciate him for speaking out so harshly and reaching millions of people, hopefully making them wake up a little bit more. Second of all, somebody's committing fraud with one of my cards right now, which is rather annoying. Which is why I find it so strange that in the US, you have to give all your card information over the phone. It's like very weird. Well, I guess that's why you use crypto, huh? So nobody can take your stuff. Nobody can steal your shit. Anyway, by now I think you guys understand the point that I'm trying to make, which is that they keep picking winners and losers. At the end of the day, it's very hard to convince somebody that people are not buying Bitcoin with the expectation of profit. And again, if we really start to talk about the definition of being decentralized, who decides when it's sufficiently decentralized to be not deemed a security? And as you continue on, why is XRP, for example, being cleared, but why haven't they taken the effort to clear more crypto? Why have they only gone after them from the bad side, but not from the good side? I think that's odd. I personally think the way that, this is a thought, right? The way that right now they're approving Bitcoin ETFs, which they're not, but they should be, in theory, they could have gone through such a process for these cryptos as well. Instead of just saying, hey, we're suing all of them, they could have been like, hey, we're reviewing the 50 biggest, and these are fine or not fine, and then just put a foot behind the door so people could kind of like have a basis or something. Or even just the top 10, I guess. All I'm talking about is right now, nobody has any idea. And you can't have because they've never given you any guidelines. All we've got is that Bitcoin is fine. And in the past, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, I believe, were all fine too. But that's been revoked, and nothing is fine except for Bitcoin and now additionally XRP. But even there's an argument to be made that Bitcoin is not fine, and Ethereum has been cleared by SEC members, but on the opposite side, it's kind of not by Gary Gensler. But again, Gary Gensler in the past has cleared it. Honestly, it just seems like they're being very hostile towards crypto right now. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we're not pumping harder. I honestly think this is what keeps a little bit of doubt in the system. And I guess this is also an easy excuse for BlackRock, etc. to now get more exciting, and for BlackRock, etc. to try trash talk Binance, because you got to think about it. BlackRock has chosen Coinbase to be their facilitating partner. I believe they've got 10% shares or something in Coinbase. I don't remember exactly. But the guys at BlackRock, the guys at JP Morgan, I believe, at least in multiple places, have said that as long as BlackRock is at the top of their game, as long as Binance is at the top of their game, it's going to be significantly difficult for a Bitcoin ETF to be approved and for these players to fully adopt the industry because, well, there's just a player that's too large. And you guys know these other large players, the BlackRock, etc., they don't like it when other players are too large. So again, they kind of had to take them down. But on that note of taking them down, I potentially think here that that taken down session might become a lot harder than I imagined. Because again, as I said before, the SEC seeks to prove Binance and the founder CZ committed an FTX-style fraud. And now he has to remain in the US because they're afraid he's going to become a flight risk. This is pretty hefty stuff, pretty crazy stuff for somebody who's thus far shown quite some compliance, I'd say. But I guess they're just trying to paint him in a worse light. And I guess we don't know all the details, but I do not believe that the guys at Binance went for massive fraud like the guys at FTX did, because these guys are quite capable. But again, the SEC seeking to prove it, yeah, that doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that they want to get CZ in for fraud, and they're going to go to the bottom of the bottom to, get him jailed longer or get him jailed in general, instead of trying to actually help people. Because as of this point, CZ is gone and Binance is doing completely well. There's no best case scenario here. The only thing I personally think they could be doing is checking if the finances are healthy after the massive fine that's been put on top of them. Because in theory, right, this is my own theory, if they were able to slap down a $4.3 billion fine, I personally think the most responsible thing should have been to know that they could pay it. If they weren't able to pay it, for example, then all that would happen is the platform would crash and everybody involved would lose their money. That would not be the best option for the US SEC, which its main goal is to protect US investors. But then, if you start thinking about it, what would the next best thing be? I personally think it will be for them to check if afterwards, which I hope they did before, the guys at Binance still have enough money to operate and to make sure they're liquid enough to pay people back if massive withdrawals were to ensue. And I'd say that's about it. As long as they're completely liquid and not reliant on one crazy coin, excluding USDT, I'd say, excluding stablecoins, yeah, I'd say that's solid enough for me. But maybe I'm seeing all this stuff a little bit too easily. It's interesting to note that BNB is not faltering as I kind of expected it would. I didn't expect it to fall hard, right? But I did expect it to have more of a correction, and it's interesting to me that it's actually not moving at all. And again, a lot of people were hoping this was going to be XRP's move into the top 3, as obviously Tether is not a crypto. It's a stable coin, so in the top T crypto, you now have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then BNB, but it could go back to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then XRP. People are excited for that. But as it stands right now, BNB is holding pretty strong still. And after all these allegations, I guess I really wonder what's able to take BNB down further. I guess if they were able to prove fraud, but that's, first of all, very far away if they can. And second of all, I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, those have been my thoughts for today. Just wanted to quickly share this update because things are pretty crazy. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.